Finer in the Philippines. So, let me say, well, 9:15, so I guess you would say this is kind of a late night meanderings. Well, just lately we've been involved with a lady that is suffering from cancer. I think she's had some surgery, and now she has had several she's had several doses of chemotherapy, and she hasn't been able to continue those because of the costs. So that was over a year ago, or about a year ago. I thought it was only a few months, but actually it was a year. So she is now in pain and she's bedridden, and she is looking to get chemo. And of course, I had a friend, a subscriber, he has a call name of, or a username of real estate, something to do with real estate, and though he may not realize it, we are of like mind on many things, especially about how the the pill popping industry is conducted, and the lies that they operate on, and I think that chemo is the same thing. So it's funny, I'm in a difficult position because I'm being asked to help someone take a treatment that I would never dream of taking myself, because in as much as the theory behind whether this is what's stated or not, I don't know, but the theory behind chemo is it kills that cancer. So that little foreign body that's growing inside you gets bombarded with chemo, and it kills it. Now, the only downside with this, and it seems quite an important downside to me, is it actually kills your immune system at the same time. So the very weapon that you need in order to recover from some devastating treatment is already on its knees, and there you are trying to get up and running again. So it's difficult for me, and my real estate friend, I know that you know who you are, we've talked before. Sorry that I'm not so great at names, but anyway, I agree with you. I agree with you on, I wouldn't have this myself. But then I've had some looks at alternate medicine. I don't think that it's true to say that cancer has not been cured. I believe that cancer has been cured, that there is a cure. But the only thing is that the medical industry, and I use that word pointedly, it's an industry, it's a business, and it's there to make money. And a friend of mine who was very much into conventional medical treatment had cancer in one of his legs. I went into hospital. Fortunately, he was a well-off man, had plenty of money or good insurance and everything. Went in, he didn't have to think about the cost. And I was visiting him on this day, and while we were chatting, a nurse, this is an intelligent man, very upbeat, confident and positive thinking. I never heard him gripe about the pain or about how unlucky he was, or why did God do this to him, or any of that usual stuff. None. He just concentrated on getting well. His way of doing it was different to mine, and it was illustrated, it was highlighted by the fact that while we were talking, a nurse came into the room. "Excuse me, sir," and she put up onto his intravenous drip she put another. Nowadays I think that they don't give you an injection, they just have the little vial, it goes into the line and it drips down intravenously into the body. Same as having a injection, but a lot less painful and embarrassing, especially if you're having it in your rear end. Okay, so when she went out, after she had installed this this shot, he said that shot cost $1,000. So this is a few millimeters, isn't it, of fluid, which I know that all of the I'll get a storm of supporters who are in favour of this, and I respect your opinion. Please respect mine, or not. But I can't see how that is okay for me. Now, a friend of mine, I was talking with two other people in California, in Florida, and we were talking about cancer, and these other two guys started to say, well, like guy one said, well, actually I know someone that has beaten cancer, and he knows this therapist, and the therapist cured him of cancer. And the second guy said, actually, I happen to know a guy in this area that has done exactly that and can cure of cancer. And I said, I felt, well, I'm amazed because I have the same story. I know this sounds incredibly coincidental. So, I said, the guy that I know has not actually said that he cures cancer, but he has on the desk where you go to pay your bill for, he's a chiropractor, as I mentioned, and as you go out to pay your bill, there's a cartoon actually under the plate, under the plate glass, and it talks about how the medical profession have a machine that costs millions, and it will burn this cancer right out of you. Now, it'll also burn everything else around it as well, right? So, and next to it is the homeopathic answer to curing cancer. And the other guy said, well, actually, the guy that I was talking about is a chiropractor as well. What's your guy's name? Coincidentally, it turned that we were all talking about the same man. And I went to see this guy a few days later to have some chiropractic work done. And I said, you must be famous, because I heard two other people, and I described this this conversation I'd had with two friends, and I said, so you cured a man of cancer? And he said, I didn't cure him of anything. He said, I just showed him how to be healthy. Now, that may be an extremely modest way of describing what should be regarded as a monumental step forward in medical history, or it might just be that the medical profession, especially the pharmaceutical industry, own the word cure. If you could find a cure for something, and you could be a trash collector doing medical research in your spare time. You could be a waiter, you could be a car mechanic, you could be anything but a medical researcher, and find a cure for something. So, dare you get up and say, I found a cure for this? No, I don't advise it. And nobody else would advise it either. So, whenever you see something that may well be a cure, it will have a disclaimer under it, and it will say, purely for personal protection, before embark, this is not my treatment or my suggestions or my little homeopathic mix is not meant to be a cure for anything. It is purely a dietary supplement, and should you be any doubt, you should consult a licensed, certificated, whatever else it might say, medical practitioner before embarking on anything. In other words, I can't say I'm curing anything, because I'll be in trouble. Now, there's a few people out there who have various times come up with incredible things that will help the health of people. And one is a man called Royal Rife. Now, you can go on YouTube, type in Royal Rife, and you will learn about the Rife generator. And the Rife generator, much disclaimed, much, what shall I say, invalidated, much declared quackery, was invented by Royal Rife. Now, Royal Rife is perhaps famous for inventing a extremely high level magnifying a scope. And at one point he was being feted by all of the medical profession, and there is a photograph of him with some of the great names of his day. He's from a few years ago now, his history. Anyway, once he became a danger of the profits that the pharmaceutical industry make, then he became the flavour of the day, and that was for being attacked. And I think that pretty well anybody of any note in the medical profession or in the research profession were told better not to be a friend of this man. And Rife went through a very tough time, was what can I say, was really ruined by all of this, even though he was an absolutely brilliant man. Now, I think Rife's, I think it was his daughter, and I think that she took up the fight after he died, and I'm not quite sure. Don't quote me on this, but I think that she has a clinic just over the border in Mexico, where she is treating people who have been told to go home and die with cancer, and they are being treated there. So this is something for you to find out about. Don't take anything that I say as indisputable fact. I never say that, but I'd like to point you in the direction of looking for yourself. And this is in line with what my real estate friend said as well. So, cure, has AIDS been cured? Has cancer been cured? Well, there's a hell of a lot of profit in treating incurable diseases, but there's not a hell of a lot of profit in curing them, right? So in other words, if you've got a car and it's going wrong and it keeps hiccuping and coughing and farting, and you take it into the mechanic and he says, well, why don't we put some plugs and points in, or fix up the exhaust system, or the torque converter, or try a new transmission, or change the clutch. And he'll do that week by week by week and never cure the problem and make a lot of money. And you'll end up with virtually a new car before he actually realizes that you kept putting dirty gas in it. So what I'm saying is that try not to believe quite so firmly that any of these big corporations are out to cure, because there is too much profit in treating rather than curing. And if you think that it's not possible that they could be such criminals, think about this. When they first brought out that little green stuff that they used to put out, that was a little dot on all of the digits of your wristwatch so that you could see it in the dark. There was a place in the Midwest of America where the company that made those watches actually had women who formed quite a large part of the population of a small town, and they were only too willing to take them on and employ them. And what they used to do, they used to have the women before the watch had its cover put on. They'd have the women there, and the women would take the pen and they would dip it into that green solution, and then they would, like that, dot, 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 dot. And of course it was perfectly safe. Absolutely perfectly safe. My God, it's as safe as Agent Orange. Lots of women died of cancer of the throat, cancer of the mouth, cancer of the tongue. Cancer of the tongue is a bad one. Part of your tongue has to be removed. After that you not very funny, but it happens. There was thalidomide. Thalidomide was a drug that they gave to, in Britain, not sure about the rest of the world, but in Britain they gave that drug to pregnant women. And of course it was perfectly safe, just every bit as safe as Agent Orange and that stuff on the wristwatches. But then the babies were born and they didn't have any arms, they didn't have any legs, or, you know, some inconsequential stuff like that. And of course the drug was not given to women anymore. But then I heard some years later that it was being used in India for something or other. Making money, still making money. So if you think that everything is benign, I'm not advocating being worried about everything in the world, but you have to be a little realistic in what you take as a cure by the FDA. See, the FDA, now there's a group to conjure with, because the FDA I think also gets some of its support, maybe I'm wrong on this, but they get some of their support from the pharmaceuticals. The pharmaceutical industry on a whole will market something, apparently, if thalidomide is anything to go by, they'll market something knowing that in certain cases it will actually harm. In England they had an outbreak of, an outcry I should say, about women who had been put on Valium as a way of calming them if they were hypertense, or you know, the kind that would be overstressed and worried and all of this. They put them on Librium or Valium, and they would go to heaven on that, you know, and the doctors would sometimes not even expect to see them. You know, it would be, well, Mrs. Jeffries called up, can she have a renewal of her prescription? Oh, certainly. And the prescription would be picked up later, and Mrs. Jeffries would stay on cloud 10. So that's my little go on that. Not sure whether that's been any effect on my, I'm not sure what that's affected my my reputation of doing a feel-good channel, but I do want to talk about another a movie that I've seen that I've recommended before, and well, I'll recommend it again because it's coming up, but that's in the next video. Look out for that. That's going to be a review of a movie called Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead. Don't be put off by the title. This is a foreigner in the Philippines. Thanks a lot for looking.